Well, hello and welcome back to another, just a very little video today. I really try and keep this as brief as possible. I just thought this was of interest. It's nothing amazing, but I just happened on this a couple of weeks ago, and I thought I would share it. As probably some of you are aware, I'm been an avid collector of old reel-to-reel tapes. That's quarter-inch, tape recording tapes for many years. I have my own tapes that I made many years ago on a Grundig TK tape recorder, and I've also been buying other tapes throughout the years as well. And I haven't really had much chance over the preceding years. I bought these and just basically put them into storage. It's only the last couple of years that I've really started to look at what I might have on these tapes, amazing as it is. And the other day I found another little box with some tapes that I honestly don't think I'd opened it since the late 80s or even early 90s, and I believe it was some tapes that I bought many years ago. The American Theatre Organ Society had a little Easter, it was the London chapter, this was, of course, didn't go to America. They had a little Easter gathering to raise funds for the Brentford Musical Museum when it was based in the old church, and where the Wurlitzer was there, and various other wonderful exhibits. I think it's got a wonderful new location now, but I digress. And there was one or two stalls there where there were people selling things, all for profits to the museum, I have to say, not for their own benefit. And there was one old gentleman, he was a member of the London and South East chapter of ATOS, and I can't remember his name, and he was selling some old quarter-inch tapes in boxes that his father had had and owned, and he didn't really know what was on these tapes. He thought it might be organ music, he thought it might be of interest to some people, and I had sadly gone down on the train that day, and so I was limited to how many I could carry, but I did buy a number from him, obviously, because I thought, well, at least it's a good way of donating something for the museum. And it was in this little box, and I'm sure this tape came from those, and I have the tape here because it was quite interesting to me, and I don't think you'll probably see this. We've not got the best lighting here where I keep my tape recording and my second old computer where I record onto. But the amazing thing about this tape, I have found out, this is a really early tape, because I've never seen one of these. I've read about them, but it is actually backed, obviously the shiny oxide PVC tape one side, and the backing of the tape is actually brown paper. It's actually paper tape. I mean, I'll probably have to put an image in, because it's so thin you won't really see it. I mean, it just looks like brown, but it is actually brown paper. I know a company called Sound Mirror. Some of the earliest tapes that came into the UK in the late 40s and very early 50s, the Sound Mirror tapes and tape recorders used this paperback tape, and I think it records a little bit differently, whereas on more modern PVC tapes of backed, the recording tracks are on the edges of the tape, and on this, I believe, on the paper tape, I believe it's down the middle. I did accidentally put this on my Sony 377 tech recorder here, and it did start it did kind of feed through, but before I got any sound out, it come to an abrupt halt, and this is why I found out then. I had a closer look at it and found out it was a paper tape. I have a friend who does a lot of restorations of tape recorders, and he has a huge collection. He has kindly volunteered, if I send this to him in the post, he is going to see if there's anything, you know, of any note on here that we can transfer off. Obviously, because it won't play through the Sony properly, and it might be the middle track, so you need a different setup to get the recording, you know, to play. So we'll see what we find. It could be something and nothing. It could be, you know, that's the gamble you take buying old tapes. You know, it's quite interesting, really. What, you know, sometimes you see them. I mean, some of them make big prices these days on eBay, I've noticed, and they might have something written on the tape or on the box, and you put them on the tape recorder, and it's nothing whatsoever like that's on the box. I had one a few weeks ago that said Harold Wilson on the box. I don't know where I'd bought this tape from. I must have bought it from somewhere many years ago, and it said Harold Wilson, so I assumed it was going to be one of Harold Wilson's 1960s speeches when he was Prime Minister, and it was nothing to do with Harold Wilson. It was two editions of the Light programme's Music While You Work, which I thought was quite comical. So you never really know what you're going to get and how well it's been recorded or whether it will play or not. But this I thought was interesting, you know, as a paper tape. Who'd have thought it, you know, that very clever. The whole history of tape I find amazing. You know, it was the Germans pre-war in the 1930s, AEG, the company, and BASF, which I mean is quite synonymous with tape, still to this day I believe. They really got the act together and got the ball rolling and developed some tapes even before the Second World War. And German radio stations were using, you know, this kind of magnetic oxide tape, you know, even then, pre-war, and the development went on in the early part of the war, and this was knowledge that was open to everybody. It wasn't a big secret, but no other countries seemed to take interest in this, and it was only after the war, or well, I say coming towards the end of the war, an American major, I believe it was Jack Mullin, was based in the UK, and he was into radar, and he was interested in radio and recording and all that kind of thing. And just before the D-Day invasion, he was based in the UK, and he was listening in to some of the German radio stations, and they were playing continuous orchestral music right throughout the night. And he knew, and this was high quality, and he knew that they couldn't have an orchestra in the studio, how things were by that time, you know, and he knew they must have some form of very high quality tape that had been recorded onto. And later on, when France was liberated, he went to Paris, and eventually he got to a German radio station and actually saw some of these AEG tape machines and some of the BASF tapes, and I believe he took parts back to America and notified the US Army about this, and basically the rest is history. He got then involved with ABC in America, and one or two stars of the day, Bing Crosby, got involved and thought this tape was wonderful, and they built some more of these machines with American parts to the German patent, and then a firm called Ampex, which was just a very small, I believe, Californian electronics firm, got involved, and Ampex obviously took it a deal further and developed the first you know, home tape recorders and studio recorders, and obviously Ampex went on to do wonderful things with tape. So we shall see, and I will let you know what we find on it and if it plays, if we get anything, if we get any sound out of it. So there we go. As I say, I love tapes, and I think it's a great format still. It's quite fiddly, particularly when they start breaking and you have to join them together, but to me that's, you know, half the enjoyment, trying to piece the jigsaw back together, so to speak. So there we go. Please do think about subscribing. It does help us smaller channels, and I really do appreciate it, and I love getting your comments, and I always try and answer them as best as I can and as soon as I can. So once again, thanks very much, and we'll see you very shortly in a future video. Until then, bye for now.